How's it going, American truckers? How's everybody out there doing? Hope everybody's staying warm. Boy, it's been a long day. Been a long day. We're creeping up on evening though. It's getting close. To be a trainer or not be a trainer? It's a good question. I mean, as you progress in your career in driving, at some point in time with most companies, you're probably going to encounter the option to become a trainer. It's not for everybody. Total, I have about 5 years, maybe a little more, worth of training. I used to keep track of how many guys that I trained. I really don't know. You know, it's more than 50, I'm sure. I've trained quite a few. Some guys are always having issues with their students or with the trainee. I can tell you, in all the years training, there was only one guy that I refused to sign on. Wouldn't sign off on him. He was a great guy, but he was really dangerous in a truck, and I kept trying, and I felt like a failure because I kept trying to work with him, and I just couldn't find a way. And I was actually his third trainer. The first two wouldn't sign off on him either. Why he was still there, I'm not really sure. The companies will try to push them through, you know. But and in all that time, I only put one guy off of my truck. One time. It was in Columbus, Ohio, and I did not leave him in the middle of nowhere. I took him to the truck stop. I called the company and spoke to a safety at the company. Basically, I'm gonna break a long story short. We were disconnecting from a trailer. It had been snowing. I was trying to show him a trick for how to get out from underneath the trailer. You know, sometimes when it's slick, the tires will spin, it's hard to disconnect. You let the air out on the airbags, it drops the back end down, it shifts the weight. You can normally get out from underneath the trailer. He got mad. I was standing outside the truck. He was up in the truck, and I was trying to guide him. He got mad and got out of the truck, got in my face and wanted to fight. Well, at that point, you know, it was kind of like, oh, no. And he had been on my truck a couple weeks. Couldn't get him to calm down, real irate. I just went around him. I went ahead and disconnected from it, hooked to the new trailer. He got in, slamming things around, slamming the door around, got in the sleeper, slamming things around. You know, and I went to the nearest truck stop over there. I think it's a Pilot there in Columbus. And I didn't put him off right away. He knew it was coming because I was quiet. I didn't say anything to him. I called the office and I talked to them, told them about what happened. And they decided, you know, we all decided it'd probably be better to put him on another trainer's truck and then go from there. Really funny story about that. About 6 months goes by, and I'm not going to say the company I was at. It ain't the company I'm currently at, I'll tell you that. They have a pretty good program here. But anyway, about 6 months goes by. I get a call from safety, and they're like, Morgan, yeah? Do you remember student such and such? Well, of course, you know. I remember. You remember things like that. You'll never forget it. And I said, yeah, I remember him. I kid you not, that safety man asked me, he said, did he have an anger issue? And I started laughing. I told him, well, yeah, I don't know if y'all have notes in the system or not, but I put him off my truck because of an anger issue. He said, no, nobody put any notes in. I just seen that you had him, and then he went to another trainer and finished up a week because he had like a week left. I said, yeah. I said, that's why I put him off my truck. I said, why would it happen? Apparently he was in the dispatch office, and at this company it had a window up, and you dealt with the dispatchers through a window, and they would slide your paperwork and stuff to you. He lost his cool, busted out that window, grabbed that dispatcher, tried to jerk him out into the hall. There was like a waiting room right there at that company. Tried to jerk him out there. I was gonna try to hurt him. For the longest, they had a picture of him up in there that if he was seen, they were supposed to call 911 right away. He went to jail that day, of course. They caught him and all that. But anyway, that's the only student I ever put off my truck. Now, I had guys I didn't like. I had guys I liked. I got some that I trained 10 or 11 years ago that I still talk to this day. Matter of fact, I talked to one earlier this morning. But as a trainer, you have to set those things aside. So you have to have the ability to be able to treat everybody the same, regardless of your personal opinion of them. You know, I'll be honest with you, I had guys that just got on my nerves. Everything they did got on my nerves. You know, but you have to be mature enough to say, you know what? I'm probably getting on his nerves as much as he's getting on mine. You know, because if I don't like his personality, he probably doesn't like mine either. It's a two-way street. You know what I'm saying? So that if you're considering it, that's something you need to consider, because you're not always going to have people that you enjoy training. You're not always going to have people that you get along with. You're not always going to have people that catch on real fast. Some guys are really slow, or they learn differently. So you got to have the patience and the maturity for dealing with that. And I mean, there's something else you got to take into consideration is that student, he's coming into something new. You're used to it. You know, you get up and do your thing every day. He's scared to death, or she's scared to death, either or. And you have to have the patience to be able to deal with that and be patient with that. They're not going to move in traffic like you do because they're scared. You know, I've seen a lot of guys day one, they're white knuckling the steering wheel, all the way up in their seat, staring out the window, scared. I mean, just scared to death. You got to be able to calm them down, relax them, but still maintain control of the truck. You know, so that's something, you know, you got to take into consideration to have the patience to be able to deal with them. Something else to think about, and this kind of goes on the first point. Not everybody learns the same. So you have to be the type of person that you're willing to come out of your normal way of teaching to teach a different way. Excuse me. For instance, back in the day, all trucks were manuals. I had a student, don't know how he got his permit and all that, but he did. I'm not going to mention his name in case he's driving out there somewhere. I don't want to embarrass him. But he just couldn't get shifting. He had the double clutch down, but he just couldn't remember where to go. He was always losing himself in the gears. And I kid you not, going across the Ohio Turnpike, or Ohio, maybe Pennsylvania, I don't remember. But every single stall we came to, he killed that truck. He killed it at every light. You know, and I went through a couple of days of trying to work with him, and I was like, man, he's just not getting it. You know, he's just not, it's not snapping with him. So I went and bought a plunger, and I set him down in the seat. We were parked, and I put the plunger behind the stick where he could move it. I set it between the seats. I got over in the passenger seat, and I told him, I said, all right, we're going to go through the gears. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, flip switch, sixth, seventh, you know, going through. And I did that with him a few times. And then I just started calling numbers. I said, go to sixth, go to eighth, go to third, And I did it with him over and over and over and over. We worked on it for, God, probably a few hours until he had it. It was ingrained in him. Perfect. After that day, he was almost perfect with a shifter. He was the only guy I ever had to show like that. But sometimes that's what you have to do. You know, you have to take yourself out and say, okay, well, this guy's not learning, you know, so I need to try something else. If you're the type of person that's going to automatically blame them when they're not picking something up, you probably shouldn't become a trainer. Because you got to be willing to look at it and say, okay, well, maybe it's the way I'm showing them. Let me re-gauge here, you know, and come up with something else. It's kind of like backing. I had some guys, man, I would show them, have them do it, show them, have them do it, walk them through it, talk them through it, whole 9 yards, and they couldn't grasp it. So I carried around one of them little die-cast trucks you could buy in the truck stop, and it was just for that. You know, I would clear out some space in the cab somewhere, usually on my bed, you know, and I would make up a makeshift dock or use my hat, set it there, or whatever. And I would show them with the truck, this is a 45. You see how it's pushing the trailer. Okay. Now, if you turn the wheels to the left and you start getting back under the trailer, that's how it starts. As you come around, it starts, that momentum comes from sideward pressure to rearward pressure. You know, so believe it or not, some guys caught on like that. They could, man, sit there and play with that and they were good. Some guys, I'd take them in an empty lot. Some closed down shopping malls were the best. But I would take them out there and let them just play in reverse. They're just playing. You know, of course, I'd stay in the cab with them, you know, because you got telephone poles, light poles, and things like that. You need to be able to stop them. But they would learn trailer control. Just from playing with it, they would learn to control that trailer. Usually after doing it for a little while, they would get almost as good backwards as they were forward. You know, it was one of them things where you again, taking yourself out of the box. That's another thing. We put in a lot of hours out here. If you're going to be a trainer, you need to be willing to go extra hours. You got to be willing to utilize some of that time when you normally wouldn't be doing anything. You would normally be sitting around playing on your phone. You have to utilize that time sometimes to help a student where he's lacking. Man, I've done all kinds of things when I would normally be playing on my phone. I've done that. I did the shifting thing. Every student, I showed them how to put on chains. Normally we would get in the corner of the truck stop somewhere, get a set of chains out, go back there, I mean completely put them on, pull forward, latch them up, bunge them, the whole 9 yards, where they knew how to put chains on. Even if they told me they would never do it, it didn't matter. Because if ever there's an emergency and they had to put them on, I wanted them to know how to put them on. That way, you know, just in case. But you got to be willing to do that. It's not just drive them down the road and get paid for their miles. It doesn't work that way. And if you're that kind of trainer, man, that's bad. That's bad karma. You know, using people like that. Sure, you're going to make more money. Most of the time. I didn't always make more money. Some guys took a lot more work. I didn't make as much money with them. But I normally made it up later with another guy who didn't need as much work. So we could focus on running more. You know? And he would still be at that level where he was good to go. So, I mean, it bounces back and forth. Something else to take into consideration if you're going to be a trainer is your space. Your space in the truck. Man, I've seen some guys that make the students put everything they bring with them up there on the bunk and they make them sleep with it. That's wrong. You know, that's really wrong. Not only that, but it's unsafe. I always split my truck in half. If I go into a program, I'm going to train, one half of the back of the sleeper becomes theirs. All the cabinets, everything, all the shelving on one side of the truck becomes theirs. Same thing up front. It's normally the passenger side. All the shelving, any cabinets on the passenger side becomes theirs. Everything on the driver's side, I put all my stuff there. In the sleeper, everything on the driver's side of the sleeper, I put all of my things there. The way I split it with them. I've even raised my bunk up before and moved my stuff around, let them have half of that if they've got a lot of things. You got to be willing to do that and not gripe at them because of how much they brought. Okay? I mean, they're already uncomfortable, they're already nervous, they're already scared. They're getting in a truck with somebody they don't know. The last thing they need is your first introduction to them to be griping at them because they brought too much stuff. You know, they'll feel stupid from the beginning. Which actually brings me to another point. On this video, you hear me refer to them as student or trainee. But when I have one on my truck, if I stop at a truck stop, I refer to them as co-driver. Never, ever do I refer to them as trainee, student, my trainee. Nope. The only time I use the term trainee is if I'm speaking to the company. You know, I have trainee such and such, or student such and such, or in this video. I wanted them to feel, you know, it helps break the ice. You go in to get a couple of showers, you know, and you walk up there and say, look, I need a shower for me and my co-driver. I ain't looking back there, but you can feel it. You know, you can feel his energy or her energy come up like, yeah, you know, I'm co-driver. It makes them feel good. Makes your days on the truck better. It helps y'all get along, especially if y'all don't click. It helps y'all get along. I mean, that's, you know, it should be common sense, but it's really not. And here's the other thing. I trained females. I've trained a lot of females over the years. Females are a little bit different. In some ways, they're easier to train. In some ways, they're harder to train. Some of the ways they're easier to train is you don't have the egos. As a man, you're naturally I'm a manly man. I'm an alpha male by nature. You know, I'm from the streets. You know, I spent part of my life locked up. I spent part of my life in the streets. I'm an alpha male by nature. So sometimes that creates a little bit of tension. Now I'm mature enough to be able to tone it down and humble myself and work through it. But it gets difficult sometimes with another male. When you have a female on a truck, don't normally have that, you know. So it's different. It's a better dynamic. Not to make the men mad, but females tend to listen a little better, believe it or not. They usually pick up on it pretty quickly. They don't gripe as much, you know. So I always preferred having female students because of those reasons. Now here's the downfall. You, as a trainer, have to be very, very careful. You have to be very, very careful that nothing you're doing is construed as sexual harassment. You have to be respectful, and that means keeping it professional at all times. When I have a female student, I don't even joke with them in an out-of-the-way manner. Even if they make a off-color joke, I might laugh at it, but I do not give one back. At no point in time do I do that. When we park, I always ask them, Would you like me to step out of the truck while you get ready for bed? If you need me to step out of the truck at any point in time, let me know. I'll get up and I'll get out so that you can take care of whatever you need to take care of. All right. I also, when I have a female student, I literally sleep in my clothes. I sleep in my shirt and my pants. I don't sleep in my boxers. But that being said, even with a male student, I might take my shirt off, but I never take my pants off. I don't want them to get uncomfortable either, you know, but, you know, so those are some of the things you got to take into consideration when you have a female. Here's the other thing. When you have a female student, you have to make sure you're near a bathroom. You know, you need to do the best you can to make sure you're near a bathroom. No, it's not always 100% doable, but it needs to be doable 98% of the time. Us, we pull off on the side of the road. If we got to use the restroom, we can hop out of the truck and use the restroom. A female can too, but it's dirtier. It's dirtier for her. It's harder for her to get clean when she does that. It also, us, we don't have to drop our pants to take a leak outside. A female does. So if it's cold or anything like that, it's harder on her. So you want to try to be near a bathroom, you know. All right, money. We'll get down to the last point, money. Yes, training can pay more. Sometimes, not always. But it should never be your reason, 100%, let me rephrase that, 100% of your reason for being a trainer. Because trust me, you're gonna earn every penny of that extra money you're making. I promise. Your days are longer, your days are harder, there's more involvement in what you're doing. You're gonna earn every penny of it. It's not just given to you. It's hard if you're really training the way you should be training. Anyway, that's the rundown on being a driver trainer. Some things to think about if that's something you're going to get into. If you currently work for Crete Carriers and you want to be a driver trainer, you can stop in at your terminal and fill out an application for it. You can talk to them ladies in Lincoln. Me personally, because I do work for Crete, I ask that you be the best trainer you can be. You know, please. Treat these students right. If you get retrainees, you know, whoever you have on your truck, treat them right. Be respectful to them. Do the best you can to train them properly. And you never know, you might learn something from them. You never know. I've learned things from trainees before. I mean, sometimes they see something a little different and I say, well, why don't we do it this way? And it's easier. Hell, I was driving for years and I had a trainee show me something one time and I was like, whoa, hold on. Why ain't I been doing it that way all these years? You know, so I ask that you please be the best you can be, you know, if that's what you're going to do. So anyway, y'all have a great evening. Hit that like and subscribe button and keep trucking.